In a move that has sent shockwaves to the global defense community, Japan has officially revealed its most advanced and lethal air combat platform to date, the F-X stealth fighter jet, a technological marvel that signals the dawn of a new era in aerial warfare and cements Japan's intent to not just modernize, but dominate the skies over the Indo-Pacific and possibly far beyond. Finally, after years of quiet development, strategic partnerships, and next-gen breakthroughs, the world is getting its first clear look at what could be one of the most dangerous stealth jets ever built outside the United States, a warbird that combines the soul of Japan's cutting-edge engineering with lessons learned from the American F-22 Raptor, the F-35 Lightning II, and even the ambitious but canceled Soviet MiG 1.44 stealth fighter concept. But Japan's F-X, also known as the Mitsubishi F-X or the F-3 in some defense circles, isn't just another entry in the fifth-gen jet race. No, this is a bold leap into what many are calling sixth-generation warfare. Developed under Japan's Ministry of Defense and led by Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, the F-X is being designed in the ground up for total air superiority. And we're talking about a fighter loaded with AI-assisted combat capabilities, drone swarm coordination, multi-domain data fusion, extreme stealth, hypersonic missile compatibility, and even potential directed energy weapons. The stealth profile alone is breathtaking, featuring an angular design reminiscent of the F-22, but sleeker, with a low observable, radar-absorbing skin, seamless control surfaces, and internal weapon bays built to carry the latest in air-to-air and air-to-ground munitions. Think beyond AIM-120s. We're talking about Japan's next-gen AIM-5 and AIM-4B missiles, possibly future hypersonic interceptors, and even electromagnetic pulse payloads that could disable enemy electronics mid-flight. With projected thrust-vectoring twin-engine design, the F-X will likely outperform anything China or Russia currently flies in terms of agility, climb rate, and maneuverability. Now, let's talk range. With massive internal fuel capacity and the likely integration of advanced propulsion systems, this fighter will be able to patrol deep into contested areas like the South China Sea, East China Sea, or even the Taiwan Strait, all without mid-air refueling. And here's where things get even more intense. Japan's F-X is being built to operate in a combat cloud, meaning it can link up in real time with allied assets like US F-35s, Aegis destroyers, satellites, drones, and more, fusing sensor data to create a fully integrated battle space where the F-X doesn't just react to threats, it predicts them. It's a fighter built for future war, where milliseconds matter and victory goes to the side that sees first, shoots first, and vanishes into the sky. And Japan is making it clear. This jet is not just for show. It's a warfighting machine meant to deter aggressors, defend territorial integrity, and serve as the crown jewel of Japan's increasingly muscular self-defense force. With tensions rising between the U.S. and China, with North Korea continuing ballistic missile tests, and with Taiwan remaining a potential flashpoint, Japan is no longer relying solely on American firepower to keep the peace. They are building their own shield and sword. The F-X program was officially launched to replace Japan's aging F-2 fleet, which itself was a modified version of the F-16. But this time, Japan isn't copying, it's innovating. The F-X is entirely homegrown, with key contributions from the US, UK, and even potential European defense contractors, all feeding into a system that's designed for the unique demands of Pacific warfare: massive distances, open ocean intercepts, stealth infiltration, and electronic warfare dominance. In fact, Japan's F-X is expected to carry some of the most advanced electronic countermeasure systems in the world, capable of jamming, spoofing, and disabling enemy radar and missile locks before a shot is even fired. And get this, Mitsubishi is reportedly working with Japanese defense tech companies to develop a neural network-based threat detection system that can autonomously recommend combat maneuvers to the pilot in real time, effectively turning the F-X into a semi-autonomous, AI-backed hunter-killer. Even more insane, there are rumors of a loyal wingman drone being co-developed alongside the F-X, a stealth drone wing that would fly with the main fighter, carry its own weapons, scout enemy positions, and even sacrifice itself to defend a manned jet. Imagine a single pilot commanding an entire micro-air force from the cockpit. That's the level Japan is targeting. And while the U.S. Air Force and Navy are working on their own 6th-gen programs under NGAD and F/AXX, Japan's F-X could very well be the first operational sixth-generation fighter to fly, if development continues at its current blistering pace. Testbed components are already being fabricated, including radar-absorbed materials, thrust vectoring engines from IHI Corporation, and advanced avionics developed in part by Toshiba and Fujitsu. According to insiders, full-scale production could begin as early as 2027, with initial flight tests by 2028 and frontline deployment planned for the early 2030s. But make no mistake, Japan is already flying scaled-down demonstrators, running radar cross-section tests, and building weapons bays with modular capabilities for rapid loadout swaps. This is real and it's coming fast. The aircraft's cockpit is expected to feature augmented reality interfaces, wide-area touchscreens, holographic display panels, and voice command systems, giving the pilot maximum situational awareness with minimal distraction. The jet's sensor suite will likely include advanced ASA radar, infrared search and track, IRSD sensors, multi-band electronic warfare antennas, and a 360-degree threat detection system using AI-assisted fusion processors. In other words, the F-X pilot will have a complete, real-time picture of the battle space. Friendlies, hostiles, incoming missiles, and stealth threats alike, all layered into an immersive digital HUD that feels more like a video game than traditional combat. And with Japan's push toward domestically produced components, this fighter won't be at the mercy of foreign supply chains, embargoes, or export restrictions. It's built to fight and survive, independently, even if global supply chains break down during wartime. What's even more fascinating is the broader strategic message Japan is sending. We are no longer the passive, post-war power hiding under the U.S. defense umbrella. We are rebuilding, not an empire, but a fortress of freedom. The F-X is a warning shot to Beijing, to Pyongyang, and to any actor that would challenge Japan's sovereignty or destabilize the Pacific theater. It says, we will not only match your power, we will outthink, outtech, and outfly you. And America is on board. In fact, the U.S. sees the F-X as a powerful complement to its own regional air power, with interoperability being a key design goal. Japan and the U.S. have already run joint simulations using F-35s and projected F-X capabilities, modeling how a mixed squadron might respond to a Chinese amphibious assault on Taiwan or a North Korean missile barrage. The results? When the F-X was added to fight, kill ratios improved dramatically, survivability and support aircraft increased, and the enemy's ability to deny airspace dropped significantly. This jet isn't just good for Japan. It's a force multiplier for the entire Allied defense posture in the Pacific. Critics argue that Japan's defense spending is reaching historic highs and may provoke regional tension. But in Tokyo's view, that's precisely the point. Strength deters war and weakness invites it. With its island territories increasingly threatened by Chinese maritime expansion, and its airspace violated by probing flights from Russian bombers and Chinese drones, Japan is done playing defense. It's taking the fight, figuratively and if necessary literally, to the skies. The F-X is more than just a jet. It's a statement of resolve, a high-tech sentinel that will guard the Pacific with eyes sharper, missiles faster, and wings stealthier than anything Japan has ever fielded. And now, as its systems come online and as prototypes inch closer to the skies, the world watches, not just in awe, but in anticipation. Because when Japan rolls out this bird, they're not just unveiling a new aircraft. They're unveiling the future of air dominance in the Indo-Pacific. But while the rollout of Japan's F-X fighter is shaking up regional power calculations, it's what comes next that's truly staggering. Because Japan isn't just stopping with the jet. This aircraft is the nucleus of a much larger military transformation strategy, one that involves a nationwide revamp of air bases, an overhaul of integrated missile defense systems, and the creation of a future-ready air combat doctrine built around unmanned systems, space-based reconnaissance, and cyber-electronic warfare fusion. Picture this. The F-X launching from a hardened, satellite-fed airbase in Okinawa, flanked by a swarm of autonomous stealth drones carrying anti-radar payloads, with high-orbit surveillance satellites tracking Chinese carrier groups in real time, and Japan's new J-Alert network interfacing directly with F-X systems to generate live targeting data mid-flight. This isn't sci-fi. It's being developed now. And as Japan rapidly expands its joint training exercises with U.S. forces, the F-X will be inserted directly into multinational drills simulating contested airspace dominance, island defense operations, and even high-altitude missile interceptions. One scenario tested involved a simulated mass missile launch from North Korea toward Japan's key cities, with F-X units flying stealth interception missions, locating and destroying missile launchers behind enemy lines before they could fire a second salvo. Another exercise visualized a Chinese amphibious assault on the Senkaku Islands, where F-X fighters flew low-altitude strike missions supported by U.S. E-2D Hawkeyes and Japanese AWACS, taking out enemy naval command centers before they could direct the landings. These drills are more than muscle flexing. They're tactical proofs of concept. Japan's Air Self-Defense Force is actively transforming into an offensive-capable, strategically autonomous force, and the F-X is its spearhead. Defense insiders say the jet may even feature plug-and-play modularity, allowing future upgrades like hypersonic missile racks, laser weaponry, or even electromagnetic launch systems. We're looking at a platform that's not just survivable in the 2030s. It's built to dominate into the 2050s. One of the most exciting components of the FXS future roadmap is its AI co-pilot, an embedded virtual assistant trained on millions of flight hours, combat encounters, and predictive threat modeling. This system isn't just spitting out alerts. It's anticipating enemy behavior, recommending countermeasures, and even executing split-second maneuvers when pilot reaction time isn't fast enough. This means that in a BVR, beyond visual range engagement, the FX can track multiple bogies, calculate incoming radar pings, and prioritize targets before a human brain even processes a threat. And in a dogfight, expect the AI to control thrust vectoring, weapon selection, and decoy deployment, all while letting the pilot stay focused on battlefield tactics. It's like flying with an elite wingman inside your cockpit. Another little-known but explosive feature. The FX may include a quantum radar subsystem, a next-gen development being explored by Japanese universities and defense firms that uses entangled photons to detect stealth aircraft with near-perfect accuracy. If successful, this would give Japan a decisive edge over Chinese J-20 or Russian Su-57 platforms, effectively rendering enemy stealth useless. Add to that a rumored satellite uplink capable of downloading encrypted live intel from U.S. reconnaissance satellites, giving FX pilots the same battlefield data the Pentagon sees. And you got a cockpit that's less fighter jet, more flying command center. In terms of maintenance and logistics, Japan is designing the FX for rapid turnaround, with automated diagnostics, smart part tagging, and robotic ground crews capable of arming and refueling faster than anything in Japan's current inventory. This will allow a higher sortie rate during wartime, which means more jets in the sky, more pressure on the enemy, and more air superiority with fewer resources. As for production scalability, Mitsubishi Heavy Industries is already partnering with Japanese and international suppliers to build a network that can scale up manufacturing quickly in the event of a major regional conflict. Some sources say Japan could produce up to 100 FX jets per year if needed, transforming its air force into a high-tech swarm of silent killers. And this isn't just about the military. Japan is revitalizing its entire aerospace industry around this project, training a new generation of defense engineers, pilots, and AI specialists. Schools, factories, and research labs are working together in a wartime-like push to create a domestic defense ecosystem that doesn't rely on foreign exports or licensing. With global supply chains still recovering from years of disruption, this is a massive strategic advantage. Now, the big question, who else might fly the FX? While Japan currently insists the platform is built for domestic defense, there's growing speculation that the FX, or a downgraded export variant, could be offered to key U.S. allies like Australia, the U.K., or even NATO nations seeking alternatives to the F-35. If that happens, we could see a whole new generation of allied air power converging around Japanese technology, reshaping the balance of air combat across multiple continents. And don't forget, Japan is working closely with the UK and Italy on a future fighter project called GCP Global Combat Air Program, a potential fusion of the FX and the British Tempest program. If the two designs merge, we're looking at the birth of a transcontinental air power behemoth that could rival or surpass anything coming from China, Russia, or even the US NG-80 program. Bottom line, Japan's F-X isn't just a stealth jet. It's the cornerstone of a 21st century defense doctrine that blends cutting-edge air dominance with cyber warfare, AI integration, global intelligence networking, and deep industrial mobilization. And it's not a pipe dream. It's happening now. Prototypes are being fabricated. Engines are being tested. Software is being coded. Simulators are training future F-X pilots to think faster, fly sharper, and fight smarter. And every day, Japan edges closer to its ultimate goal, not just peace through strength, but deterrence through supremacy. So as global tensions rise, as the South China Sea becomes a chessboard of carriers and bombers, as missiles arc over the Pacific like ominous warnings, Japan is answering with technology, with resolve, and with the most advanced fighter jet it has ever built. The F-X will not just patrol the skies. It will own them. And when it finally roars into full operational service, one thing will be crystal clear. Japan is ready for war, not because it wants it, but because it refuses to be unprepared when others might. In an age of rising threats and shifting alliances, the F-X stands as Japan's flying declaration. We see you, we hear you, and if you come for us, we will be ready, faster, stealthier, and deadlier than you ever imagined. And as Japan forges ahead with its deadly new F-X stealth fighter, the global defense community is watching with laser focus, not just because of the aircraft specs, but because of the message it sends to the world. That Japan, long seen as a self-restrained military power under the post-World War II Constitution, is now emerging as a high-tech defense juggernaut, one willing to push boundaries, innovate ruthlessly, and field a next-generation force that can stand shoulder to shoulder with the best of the U.S., NATO, and beyond. Every bolt, every engine turbine, every AI circuit embedded within the F-X reflects a larger strategy. Japan is not just building a fighter jet. It's building a shield for democracy in the Indo-Pacific, a deterrent that will cast a long, stealthy shadow over the ambitions of authoritarian regimes looking to expand unchecked. Tokyo knows what's at stake. Chinese aggression around the Senkaku Islands, North Korean missile salvos creeping closer to Japanese waters, cyber attacks probing Japan's digital infrastructure. These aren't distant threats. They're real and they're here now. And so the F-X is more than steel and silicon. It is resolve, forged into form. It is a sound barrier shattering beneath wings of independence and national pride. And in that cockpit, Japan places its hopes, its heritage, and its future. But the F-X's implications stretch far beyond Japanese shores. With the U.S. Japan alliance tighter than ever, the integration of F-X into allied combat formations will provide seamless interoperability. The jet's software architecture is being coded from day one to communicate natively with U.S. systems, whether it's F-22s, F-35s, or Aegis-equipped destroyers. That means during wartime, F-X pilots won't be flying blind. They'll be part of a data-rich swarm where sensor fusion and shared targeting data multiply lethality exponentially. One F-X in the sky is powerful. 5 F-XS linked to a carrier strike group's battlenet? That's a storm. And let's not forget, this jet isn't just designed for one war zone. Japan's defense planners are already simulating future conflicts not just over the East China Sea, but in broader Pacific theaters. Scenarios where F-X wings operate alongside U.S. bombers in Guam, patrol disputed waters in the South China Sea, or even conduct Arctic range operations to counter Russian militarization. This is long-range, all-domain warfare readiness, and Japan is leaning all the way in. Meanwhile, Japan's industrial base is ramping up like never before. Suppliers across Osaka, Nagoya, and Hokkaido are being tapped to produce ultra-high-strength alloys, stealth composites, next-gen radar arrays, and liquid-cooled AI processors that will power the F-X fleet. It's a national movement, a rebirth of Japan's aerospace legacy, driven not by necessity but by will. And every breakthrough, from turbine heat resistance to radar-absorbing skin chemistry, is a shot across the bow to adversaries who thought Japan would stay passive forever. But here's the wild card that could send shockwaves to the international order. If Japan decides to license or export the F-X or a modified variant to allies like Australia, Taiwan, or even European partners, it would mark the first time in decades that Tokyo exports a full-scale frontline fighter. That would change the global balance of air power overnight. Imagine Taiwan fielding a stealth fighter that could go toe-to-toe with Chinese J-20s in contested airspace, Or the UK blending FX tech with its own Tempest program to create a fusion jet capable of dominating over Russia. That's not just game-changing. That's order-changing. And in this high-stakes geopolitical arena, Japan is playing to win, not with bluster, but with brilliance. What's more, Japan's approach to the FX program is rewriting the rulebook on transparency and public engagement. Rather than hiding the project behind closed doors, the Japanese government is releasing periodic updates, showcasing test footage, engaging with defense media, and even inviting international observers to review simulation data. Why? Because deterrence works better when your enemies know exactly how deadly you are. Japan wants the world to see that it is not only capable, but committed. But let's take a moment to appreciate just how far Japan has come. From the ashes of war and disarmament to now standing on the cusp of deploying one of the most advanced fighter jets the world has ever seen. This is more than military progress. It's a national resurrection. It's a declaration that peace will be protected, sovereignty will be defended, and freedom will fly, cloaked in radar-absorbing armor and propelled by next-gen thrust. And as the FX inches closer to its first operational deployment, Japan sends a silent but seismic message to its rivals. Your intimidation will not go unanswered. Your threats will not go unchallenged. For every shadow cast by aggression, Japan will rise with the power of innovation, unity, and sky-dominating strength. The skies of Asia are no longer yours alone to claim, because high above the clouds, silent as a ghost, fast as a flash, and deadly as a samurai's blade, the FX is coming. And when that day arrives, when the world first sees this bird in full combat formation, radar silent, weapons armed, AI ready, you'll know what Japan has always known. Never mistake patience for weakness, and never mistake silence for surrender. This is not just the dawn of a new aircraft. This is a return of Japan's airborne sword. And it is sharper, smarter, and more unstoppable than the world ever expected.